He dreamed of becoming a great pianist. He longed to capture the poetry of the human soul. And he loved a woman so fiercely that she became the center of his universe, even as his own mind began to fade away. This is the story of Robert Schumann, composer, romantic, visionary, and a man who lived his final years trapped between creation and madness. Robert Schumann was born in 1810 in a small German town. To a father who loved literature and filled their home with books, Robert grew up reading Goethe, Byron, and the great poets of his time. For him, music was not just sound. It was story. It was emotion. It was the secret language of the soul. Even as a boy, he felt things deeply, too deeply. Schumann didn't dream of being a composer at first, a great virtuoso. He wanted to be a pianist. Fate would not let him. Desperate to strengthen his fingers, he built a strange mechanical device to stretch them, a device that only injured his hand permanently. His dream of performing died. Then the world gained a composer instead. Some say he traded one destiny for another. At 18, Robert moved into the home of his teacher, Friedrich Wieck, and there he met someone who would change his life. A prodigy, Clara, a girl of rare fire and discipline. She was only 11, but she already played like a master. Robert first admired her, then adored her, then loved her with a devotion that would define the rest of his life. But Clara's father saw Schumann as a distraction, a threat, a man of unstable mind and uncertain future. He forbade their love. But Robert and Clara wrote letters in secret. They dreamed of a life together, a life they would have to fight for. When Clara turned 21, she and Robert sued her own father for the right to marry. A scandal, a public battle, a victory that came at great emotional cost. But they won. And so began one of the most beautiful, complicated marriages in music history. Clara, the brilliant performer, Robert, the sensitive, fragile composer. Together they created a world built on music, passion, and mutual devotion. She inspired him. He depended on her. They loved each other fiercely and painfully. Schumann was not a man at peace. He lived with hallucinations. Sudden collapses of mood, out dark spells that pulled him into places beyond reason. He described hearing mysterious inner voices. Some whispered melodies, others whispered doom. Still he created. Carnival, Dichterliebe, symphonies, piano works music that shimmered with vulnerability and poetic imagination. But every masterpiece came at a cost. In 1854, the voices became unbearable. One February night, Robert walked to a bridge in Dusseldorf and threw himself into the freezing Rhine River. Fishermen rescued him, but the man who emerged was not the same. He begged to be taken to an asylum for Clara's safety, he said, for his own. Clara, pregnant with their 8th child, was forbidden to see him. For 2 years, Robert lived in a world of ghosts and fading memories. He wrote almost nothing, scarcely recognized visitors. But days before his death, Clara finally arrived. He looked at her, and for a moment something returned. He knew her. He held her hand, and tears filled his eyes. Days later, Robert Schumann died at 46. Clara lived another 40 years, carrying his memory with her. Robert Schumann left behind a world of music born from tenderness, fragility, and the extremes of human emotion. He was not the strongest. He was not the most stable. He was not the most celebrated in his lifetime. But his music endures because it feels like the diary of a soul trying desperately to understand itself. A man who lived between poetry and madness, between love and suffering, between the world outside and the world within. Robert Schumann. A heart that broke and still sings. If this story moved you, you'd like more videos about artists, thinkers, and visionaries, please consider subscribing.